Hey guys, I'm going a little early tonight. I wanted to get my thoughts out a little bit, maybe talk a little bit about some stuff in the news today, a little bit. I know I had a ranty video, and well, it is what it is. But, there are always going to be people that like to maybe run on X and don't quite understand what things are. And that's okay because there are people with that experience out there that are there to maybe set things straight just a little bit. And, I'm sure that Court TV has all of the medical degrees that one would require. Oh, there is I have never in my life engaged in a Twitter battle because I think it's like I said, I think it's one of the dumbest things that one can do with their time. Mostly because, eh, people are just usually shouting past each other and generally don't take time to speak to each other beyond like sound bites. So that's why I made a video. I am doing okay, Debbie W. I hope you are doing well. And, I got all of my stuff out that I needed to say in that rant video, so that was good. But yeah, it really does bother me when uh people maybe don't research, don't know everything and then feel like they've done maybe cursory research and then they're like, you know, just like everyone became an expert in Ukraine politics, and now everyone, is opining on Israeli-Palestine, conflict history as experts. I there is no place dumber to have these conversations than Twitter. Even Elon Musk agrees, I think, for sure. It is one of those things. We can't always have these wonderful conversations. And maybe, just maybe, I know this is going to be shocking, but just because you work for Court TV and you have big hair, you shouldn't run to Twitter, to the Twitterverse to say stuff. But our first story. Yeah, which is why I always tell you guys I am simply a redhead who is mouthy on the internet. I am not an expert. Goodness knows I'm not. Uh, but people who are also not experts, apparently, in keeping people in jail would be these people. A convicted car bomber was released early from prison and he went right back to, his former profession because, you know, when you're good at your job, I guess you just go back. Uh, He allegedly punched a parishioner at a Catholic mass, as one does, apparently to get points. I don't know. Led a police on a chase, throwing around exploding kablowies, and then asked cops how he scored on Grand Theft Auto. God bless the American legal system. Daniel Garcia faces charges in an assault dangerous chase, in which he allegedly threw pipe bombs at officers in Northern California. For the love of all that is Cheetos, why was this man let out early? I need someone to make it make sense. Even Fry's like, I'm going to take a nap. None of this is making sense. Look, y'all, we just have to get through until Murphy Brown cross examines Charlie. We're all hanging on. That's our Friday treat, because 'cause I'm sure it'll be hilarious, as long as he doesn't throw up. Because I swear that's my mom kryptonite. I don't know if it was because I had morning sickness so much with all 6 kids that I can't, but it's a no-go. If he starts to go, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to put my little avatar up and take some deep breaths, okay? And it's not because I'm in pain, it's just because I don't do the tummy stuff. Debbie W., he did not take the stand today, but, all signs point to he will take the stand tomorrow. So, I would catch up. The state rested. If you see nothing from today's testimony, the last question of the state, it's Mrs. Capilano. I don't know her first name. I call her Murphy Brown, because I always make up nicknames for everyone. But the DA had the most wonderful, snarky, smart alecky, um, hilariously somewhat queen of the pettyverse. Thank you, Eris. I came on a little early. I thought, I know Expert wanted to uh, send people over to me, and I think he's doing something. So I wanted to come on a little early and make sure that went on correctly because I'm still new to this whole maneuvering streams into another stream thing, and I wanted to make sure that worked out right. So, thank you so much for being a wonderful mod and making sure everyone does the YouTubey things and reminding them. Christine, if you message me and, you send a link, I should be able to do one this weekend. I am pretty free this weekend, I believe. Yes, Newsy News. We have a convicted car bomber who was released early from prison to allegedly go back to business as usual. Wicked Wookie. A um a convicted car bomber released early from prison is now accused of punching a parishioner unconscious for money at a Catholic mass, as you do, then leading police on a chase through San Francisco in which he threw exploding pipe bombs at pursuing officers before crashing, then asking how he scored on Grand Theft Auto once he was in custody. Okay. Daniel Garcia, 42, was booked into the San Francisco County Jail on a slew of charges, including attempted murder, aggravated assault, assault on an officer, transporting and igniting explosive devices with the intent to harm and intent to commit murder. He also faces charges for the chase, including resisting and delaying arrest and disobeying a red light. Well, I hope he gets punished to the maximum extent for disobeying the red light, the true crime here. It started on Sunday before 6 p.m. San Francisco police responded to a church in San Francisco's North Beach on a report of an assault, the police said in a news release. Police said the suspect had assaulted a parishioner and demanded money. Quote, the parishioner continued to pray and ignored him, at which point the suspect then violently assaulted this parishioner, punching them in the head. Assistant Chief David Lazar said in a news conference, quote, we believe the parishioner went unconscious temporarily, which is really scary. Like I have said, you guys, that's um, head injuries are not anything to sniff at. Churchgoers helped the victim and called 911. The suspect left, got into a car, and drove off. Thank you so much, WW, for gifting memberships. And let me pull up. Why am I? Oh, I know where I put it. Da da da. Because I'm a genius. And Valu 87, Stephanie Bland, Cindy Lou Woot, Wicked Wookie, and I think Emma Lamoury. You were gifted one, and Carlene. So thank you very much, Debbie, for giving those memberships. Now, where did I put my other thing? Aha. One day I will be a genius in my own right. Okay, during the chase, the suspect threw two, quote, improvised explosive devices out of car windows at the officers. The officers described not only seeing flames of the device that hit the ground, but when the bomb detonated, they could feel the blowback off of that in their vehicles, Lazar said. They believe the suspect intentionally tried to seriously injure or kill them. Thank you so much, Debbie W. The chase ended when Garcia crashed his car in Martinez, more than 30 miles northeast of San Francisco, and was taken into custody. San Francisco County Supervisor Aaron Peskin said an officer briefing him on the incident told him that when Garcia was in custody, he asked, quote, how many points he had gotten in Grand Theft Auto game, referring to the violent popular video game that allows players to break laws and cause havoc. Oh, no. Now there's gonna be more Tipper Gore kind of like, "We need to stop all video games." Neighbors who saw parts of the chase were aghast. Quote, "It was a really loud report, real short, just bam, and everyone came out of their apartments to look what was going on. Definitely something unusual." Jeff, Imada, who saw part of it in San Francisco, told San Francisco CBS affiliate KPIX-TV. Garcia, who was convicted of placing a kablawi under an SUV parked next to an apartment building in Fairfield, California, on May 27th, 2011, the kablawi detonated, causing a fireball, and sending shrapnel into a car and nearby apartment building where two young children were sleeping, the FBI said. The SUV belonged to Garcia's former tenant. Garcia was angry for taking who Garcia was angry at for taking the cable box and leaving behind trash when moving out. Well, because nothing is as subtle as putting a pipe bomb under an SUV or, a strongly worded letter. Thank you so much for expert raters. We are on our first story of the night. An early released former car bomber just decided to pick up business as per usual. Because, business is good, apparently. Uh, Garcia testified at the trial he'd become numb about the dispute. During a June 16th, 2011 search of Garcia's house, law enforcement found and disabled a second Kablawi. Garcia was found and arrested 2 days later after a police standoff. He was sentenced in 2012 to serve 35 years in prison, but was released early in 2019. So 35 years, 2012. Now, I'm not a mathematical genius. I'm not a mathologist or anything, but that's not 35 years. I could be wrong. The San Francisco Standard reported that he was released early after successfully challenging his conviction on one of the charges that carried a 360-month sentence. The San Francisco Chronicle reported that he had a history of abuse and obsession with fire. Seems like a citizen you want out on the street. Continue. The paper quoted a woman who said he was her ex-boyfriend who subjected her to years of abuse, fueled by his street pharmaceutical use, and once threatened her with Molotov cocktails, as you do. Quote, I would have nightmares about the house being lit on fire, the woman said. The Chronicle reported, quote, I'm not surprised about the charges. Well, he seems like a real peach of a guy. Yeah. I can't imagine. I'm sure we'll have his case on Law and Crime soon, and it will be a weird one to follow. Fry is exhausted. Yeah, he's definitely not the kind to reoffend. I don't know why. Uh, in other news, we may know where Hoffa was or is or could be. We don't know, but we might could have found him maybe like Waldo. We're not sure. Jimmy Hoffa The wall just got 10 feet higher. I'm going to add a moat with sharks with lasers this weekend. Mr. Mo is putting a lock on the door. I swear to goodness. Jimmy Hoffa may be buried at the site of a demolished MLB stadium, according to the Cold Case Group. Do you know who's really been affected by all of this? Geraldo Rivera. Do you remember that terrible, horrible, no good, very bad special that he did where he did all that hype and we never found Hoffa? That poor man. Think about Geraldo. Won't someone think about Geraldo? A nonprofit group of cold case crime investigators believe it has located a site in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where former Teamsters president Jimmy Hoffa is buried. The case breaker said, quote, a dying police sergeant's scribbled instructions on an ace of spades playing card helped lead their years-long investigation to the old site of Milwaukee County Stadium in Wisconsin, according to Wednesday's press release. The alleged burial site is next to the current Milwaukee Brewers Stadium, American Family Field, where they believe Jimmy Hoffa's body lies in a spot under where the demolished stadium's third base line previously stood. Jimmy Zimmerman, a 13-year member of Case Breakers and a former police officer, is credited with locating the Ace of Spades playing card, which they say was written by a dying police sergeant who was believed to be involved in Hoffa's kidnapping. Hmm. Look, if I don't ask you, I have plausible deniability. I'm just saying. I will not ask. Also, they might have used a Ouija board. I'm just joking. Quote, independent sources in 3 states convinced the volunteer investigators that CSI forensics will reveal Hoffa's remains at the Little League field. It would be a Little League field now. In the shadow of Milwaukee's MLB stadium, the press release stated 3 credible witnesses are said to have claimed that 6 years before the demolition of Milwaukee County Stadium, Hoffa's body was moved from another location and was secretly buried in 1995 under the old stadium's third base. The alleged burial site now sits just outside the fence of a Little League stadium, Helfler Field, that was built in 2002 in the middle of a parking lot that replaced the old stadium. The case breakers went to the location, utilized old aerial photographs and GPS satellite images, and deployed ground penetrating radar over the remote location 3 times. The operator's equipment was not able to detect beyond 5 feet because, according to case breakers, an an unexpected clay lake layer that blocked radar, which they believe suggests a dig had taken place that was hurriedly excavated and backfilled. Interesting. Additionally, Casebreakers founder Thomas J. Colbert, interesting, told Fox News Digital that the team brought one of the top cadaver dog experts to the site, retired cop Kerrigan Corrigan, and her dog gave a positive signal several times. Now, the problem with these dogs is that they also respond to the body language of their handler. So I'm not saying that this handler is doing anything wrong, but dogs do also subconsciously respond to the body language of their handler. So, that's one thing to keep in mind. I'm not saying that these case breakers are wrong in any way, shape, or form. They could have absolutely found Jimmy Hoffa. Of course, they could have. But, it's also possible that dogs canine searches have also been fraught with some ambiguity as to effectiveness too. Quote, "This gal has, I believe the figure is over 200 cases of finding either the dead or missing," Colbert said. "She is phenomenal and she has brought in her dog. And where does the dog go? Right to the ground penetration radar spot 3 years earlier. And that's where we got excited. The dog named Moxie pointed, wagged, and barked her nose into 4 hits at the stadium's old third base location," the press release states. The next steps, Colbert told Fox News Digital, is to work with local law enforcement and the FBI to dig at the site. And Case Breaker said the feds have agreed to dig in to the new claims after doing a verbal walkthrough with Casebreaker teams members and 42-year federal investigator Jim Christie. Fox News Digital reached out to the FBI but did not receive a response. Hoffa, the legendary labor leader who had been the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, vanished July 30th, 1975. Was believed he was on his way to a mob meeting with powerful Detroit family mob boss Anthony Tony Jack Giacalone. Look, I am from the MLS, school of naming stuff, and y'all know I can't name stuff. And the New Jersey Teamsters local union boss, Tony Provenzano, who was also a volatile and feared capo in the Genovese crime family. Hoffa, who had been released from federal prison on fraud and bribery charges, was determined to regain his old job as the Teamsters president, and the sit down was meant to advance his goal, but the mafia was against it, and Hoffa's bolt-headed intransigence uh, in not stepping aside, that is what is believed to have cost him his life. Over the years, several excavations have taken place in search of Hoffa's body without a positive result, including a search under a Jersey bridge in 2022. Hoffa was legally declared dead in 2000 or in 1982, but I will always remember. Oh, Jack alone. Thank you. You know, I will always remember poor Geraldo Rivera just opening that poor, I thought it was a bank vault. Look, I think I was 12 or 13, and he did this whole thing, and, he was opening a bank vault, and there was no Jimmy Hoffa, and it was just a ridiculous thing. And you know, poor Jimmy Hoffa. In more interesting news, but as a big giant nerd, two supervolcanoes a world apart have the attention of scientists. I always loved the, you know, since Yellowstone is continuing to not do anything, uh, two other supervolcanoes have picked up the slack. Two long dormant supervolcanoes on separate continents appear to be stirring to life. Well, maybe. Daggone it. Don't get my hopes up and then leave me out in the dust. In recent months, more than 1,000 minor earthquakes have rattled the area around Campi Flegrei, a volcano in southern Italy, stoking fears that it may soon erupt again after nearly 5 centuries. Some 6,000 miles away, scientists have for decades recorded similarly small earthquakes and instances of ground deformation in Long Valley Caldera, a volcano in the in eastern California that sits adjacent to Mammoth Mountain. But does all that seismic unrest really portend to a volcanic eruption? Well, sort of, and it depends on who you ask. Well, dang it. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't want it to do anything. Yeah, I think we're about the same age, I'm pretty sure. Pompeii. Yeah, I know. But you can't give a, 9-year-old kid some idea like super volcano and then never have one go off. It's mean to that, 9-year-old in me. I mean, if we could do it in a vacuum and no one got hurt, just for science, I'd love to see one. Again, with the caveat that no one got hurt and we could do it in a vacuum. Most experts say there is no immediate threat of an eruption at either Long Valley or Campe Flegrei. Both volcanoes are calderas, sprawling depressions created long ago by violent super eruptions that essentially collapsed in on themselves, which are often more challenging to forecast compared to large mountain shaped features that people typically imagine when they think of volcanoes. Seismic unrest can be a sign that a volcano is waking up, but the full story is much more complex. Both Campe Flegrei and Long Valley Caldera are known as supervolcanoes, a term used to describe a volcano that at one time has erupted more than 240 cubic miles of material. Michael Poland, a geophysicist at the U.S. Geological Survey and scientist in charge of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, said that while Campe Flegrei and Long Valley are capable of huge explosions, the supervolcano moniker can be misleading. Why must you always take things that are super and make them mad? Daggone it. It's like supernova, and then we never get to see one, and you have to use math when you wanna be an astronomer. Dang it. Quote, "The first thing people think is that there's going to be a civilization-ending eruption," Poland said. "You can have an impactful explosion in these places, but the vast majority are smaller eruptions with less explosive lava flows." That hasn't quieted concern in the communities that border the caldera systems. The Italian city of Naples and the surrounding towns are all in close proximity to that particular caldera, and the local government officials have begun gun planning how to evacuate tens of thousands of people from the area if needed, which is good because honest to goodness, you really need to, have plans before these things happen. One Michael L. Hood, it's are I don't think we need any tarot cards right now, but if you'd like to join the chat, you're welcome to join the chat. But I don't think we need any advertisement right now. The last time that the Italian, caldera erupted was in 1538, and one of the system's largest explosion occurred around 39,000 years ago. Well, persistence, I guess. What in the world? I guess Venom has taken him over. Is he the bad Spider-Man now? In September, the former head of the Vesuvius Observatory at Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology told Reuters that the earthquake swarms were causing ground uplift in the area, which could lead to structural damage in the port of Polozzi, which is located roughly 20 miles outside of Naples. Dang it. So, all in all, we're probably not gonna get giant explosions, which is upsetting because really, I had it. We were gonna get the asteroid of peace and super volcanoes, but, it works. In super cool news, Peruvian officers make arrests dressed as Halloween characters. I kid you not. And, of course, they don't have the video associated with this because it's Yahoo News, and why would they have the video that's associated with this? But Asians disguised as Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Tiffany, the bride of Chucky, broke into the home of a family of alleged drug dealers in San Juan de Lurienchino. northeast of Lima on Tuesday night. Two people were arrested as suspects, according to the police, all members of the Clan Balboa gang, a group or a family group dedicated to drug sales in the neighborhood. Police say they seized 1,568 packets of, well, pure, uncut, super Colombian, you know what we're talking about, and cash in the operation. So, even while they're in character, they're still arresting people. It's amazing. Um, and not safe for work news, and I'm glad we're not for children. According to doctors, and it's not me saying this, and married women, I guess we're gonna be okay. Just a joke. It's a joke, people. Apparently, mouth hugs are worse than smoking for throat cancer. So get out those Marlboros. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Do not take anything to do with anything that I say. I'm a mouthy redhead. This channel gives out no medical advice. This is the New York Post saying this, and they apparently talk to doctorologists, all right? A young doctor says that mouth hugs are a greater risk factor than smoking in the development of throat cancer. Dr. Daria Sadivoskia made the declaration in a viral TikTok video, despite the American Cancer Society citing tobacco use as the number one risk factor for the illness known as, let's just call it throat cancer. Quote, are you saying mouth hugs are proven to be the number one cause of throat cancer? One TikTok user asked the doctor, who responded with a video bluntly saying, I said what I said. Well, yes, I'm going to get to that, but I'm trying to. The American Cancer Society does cite mouth hugs as one of the potential causes of throat cancer, given that the human papilloma virus, commonly known as HPV, can be transmitted during the act. HPV is the most common sexually transmitted infection, with an estimated 13 million cases in the US each year. It's it's so prevalent that according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, quote, nearly all sexually active people get the virus at some point in their lives. While HPV usually goes away on its own within 2 years, most people don't realize they have it, meaning they can unwittingly spread the disease. No more mouth hugs ever. Quote, men are more likely to develop throat cancer performing mouth hugs on women. Well, wah, wah. Wait a minute, I have a sound effect from this one.
Let's not all panic at once. Let's not all panic at once. Let's not all panic at once.
I like that. No, no looping. As women are more likely to carry the HPV virus down yonder. Indeed, men were significantly more impacted by the HPV linked throat cancer, with diagnosis rates rising 2.8% annually in men from 2015 to 2019, according to the ACS. However, rates also rose 1.3% among women, with the doctor advising men to wear raincoats if they were receiving mouth hugs. The expert's video, not our expert, but hers, clocks up at more than 52,000 views, but one user said they weren't prepared to give up their smexy times. Quote, this won't stop me. Actor Michael Douglas told The Guardian back in 2013 that mouth hugs and other times were things that caused his throat cancer. Without wanting to get too specific, this particular cancer is caused by HPV, which actually comes about from, well, having fun times with women. he stated at the time. In 2021, researchers discovered that people with 10 or more mouth time partners were four more times more likely to develop HPV related mouth and throat cancers. According to the data for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 41% of teens from 15 to 19 precipitate or participate in mouth hugs. Look, I have teenagers. I have to go talk to people right now. Um, I'll be back. No, I'm just kidding. Young people aged 15 to 24 were responsible for nearly half of the 26 million new STD infections in 2018. Well, this just makes parents feel all warm and fuzzy inside. There are hopes, however, that the HPV vaccine could help mitigate the rates of throat cancer in the future. Currently, the HPV vaccine is aimed at preventing reproductive cancer, although the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says it does offer protection against the strains of the virus that also cause um, the throat cancer. The current guidance in the US advises 11 and 12-year-olds receive the injection, so there you go. Uh, Yet only about 54% of adolescents have received the vaccine and for HPV. I'm not getting on to the old other one. I'm not even touching that one with them. Look, y'all, like I said, I'm a mouthy redhead on the internet. Do your own research. Check out if Listerine kills all the mouth hug bacteria. I don't know. I am a mouthy redhead. This is and I'm actually naturally blonde, as you can tell from my roots, which need to be done, or my new growth, depending on if you went to cosmetology school and you're not supposed to call them roots. So, I am not a doctorologist. I'm just telling you what the New York Post told me. Now, will Alaska man usurp Florida man in our shenanigans time? I do not know, but apparently Alaska man has upped the ante by threatening to kidnap a US senator. So, Florida man, the gauntlet has been thrown down. It's your move next. So, I will try to find a Florida man story tomorrow morning that will up the ante. Well, as I told you, Nicholas, married women are no longer affected by mouth hug cancer. You know how we feel about postmarital sex. We're against it. That's why I have 6 kids. Let's see what Alaska man has done. Alaska man has been arrested and charged with threatening to kidnap and not be very kind to a U.S. senator, according to a federal complaint unsealed this week. Now, let's see if this is as real as the one for Whitmer. But on chink. Arthur, spelled interestingly, Charles Graham was arrested Monday. I always like how they put their middle name in there. I always put a lot of thought into my kids' middle names just in case they happen to be in the I'm a weirdo, but I was like, just in case they ever have to have their middle name, like in case they win a really cool award or are on America's Most Wanted. I have both things. I have both eventualities set up in my mind. I wanted them to have really cool middle names. Any hoozle. Let's continue. Arthur Charles Graham was arrested Monday in his hometown of Kenai, Alaska, in connection with one criminal count. He is being held in Anchorage and has a detention hearing set for Friday. No lawmaker was named in court documents, but the unsealed filing referred to the senator as she. They assumed her pronouns. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski is the only female senator from Alaska. Her office did not immediately respond to requests for comment. According to court documents, in a message sent through a congressional website last month, Graham wrote about soon facing eviction and told the senator he wanted to, quote, hunt you down and, well, basically wear her like like Buffalo Bill wore that skin suit or Ed Gein wore that, mama suit, you know? Maybe he wasn't having a very good day. Uh, quote, "I'll live inside of you," he allegedly wrote. "I might as well, 'cause I ain't got nowhere else to live." Note to self, these are inside thoughts. Do not put inside thoughts on the internet. An FBI agent uh, in court documents that a subpoena for an email listed in a submission form on the website led investigators to Graham, who had allegedly used a different phone number and address in his message to the senator. He was v- Court documents say Graham also admitted in an interview at his home with investigators this month to having sent the email to the senator. A you know, Court documents did not list an attorney for Graham. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Graham was arrested amid a rising tide of charges stemming from violence aimed at public officials. Well, it's Yes, he's making his way slowly across, Lake Michigan on a jet ski, allegedly. Sources close to anonymous close sources close to the situation can confirm allegedly. Yes. Fry's like, "Mom's laughing. What are we doing? What are we doing? Are we gonna have fun soon?" Okay. J In weird Whitmer news, I know Dave's covering this, but let's see. Well, look, it's your alter ego. You're using a jet ski because your normal persona would never use a jet ski, so you're undercover. Anyone who knows you hate jet skis, so that's why it's so perfect. You'd never use a jet ski. Not once. That's how it's perfect. We know you loathe them. That's why no one would ever suspect. A judge wants to know why men tied to Governor Whitmer kidnap plot were moved to federal prisons. A judge wants to know why two men convicted of secondary roles in a plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer have been transferred to federal prisons out of state. Paul Beller and Joe Morrison are entitled to appeal their convictions following a trial on state charges in Jackson County in 2022. Yes, we're almost done. I know you're super excited. But their lawyer said it's extremely hard to work with them hundreds of miles away. They said the distance interferes with the right to have access to a Michigan court. The transfer is mind-boggling and appalling, said Michael Ferrone, who represents Morrison. Whatever we may say about this case, however we may feel about it, I think we can agree we're not dealing with um, the bad guys from 9/11, Ferrone told the judge on Friday, referring to, the bad guys from 9/11. Beller, Morrison, and Pete Musico were found guilty of providing material support for acts and other charges. They had no direct role in the kidnapping conspiracy, but they held gun training with leader Adam Fox and shared his disgust for Whitmer. Well, I mean, to be fair, I kind of feel disgusted with Whitmer, but she does look a little bit like a Skeksis. I mean, not as much as, oh gosh, the governor of New York, Hochul, but she does have a little bit of Skeksis in her. I feel like I'll see a Gelfling being sucked dry just a little bit next to her. But, that's me, and I have an odd correlation. Do-do-do. Musako was sentenced to at least 12 years in prison. Morrison got 10 years, and Bellar received 7. Morrison was shipped to federal prison in Illinois. Bellar is in Pennsylvania, and Musco is in West Virginia, though he hasn't formally challenged that placement like the other 2 men. Under what legal authority did MDOC send him there? Ferrone asked, referring to Morrison and the state corrections department. I haven't seen an answer to that. Appellate lawyer Ron Ambrose said trial transcripts sent to Beller through the mail have been returned. Trying to communicate with Mr. Beller is almost non existent, Ambrose said, according to courtroom video posted online. Assistant Attorney General John Pallas said he didn't know specifically why the 3 men were transferred out of Michigan. Hmm, I have an idea. Maybe it's because they wanted to punish them more? Make it harder for an appeal? I mean, I don't know. I know it's a little tinfoil hatty, but I'm gonna go with, yeah, possibly they wanted to punish them and make it harder for them to appeal. He didn't know why other than general safety concerns. Gosh, that sounds a lot like what they're doing to, Richard Allen from Delphi, and thus far, all I see is a man deteriorating for his safety. I wonder why I'm using great amounts of sarcasm. Without that information, it feels like we're flying blind, Judge Thomas Wilson said. The state typically pays $100 a day to the federal government to house a prisoner. So great. Not only are they being, sent out of state, but you all are paying for it. Awesome possum. There is a federal prison in Milan, Michigan, but of course they weren't sent there. In court, Palace pledged to help the lawyers improve their ability to talk to the men. The judge, however, set a hearing for December 1st to get answers and an update. I see. Uh, let's see. A slap on the wrist. More than 100 Seattle high school students protest unsatisfactory punishment of football players who texted, quote, creepy, weird, and predatory messages directed at female students. Interesting. An unspecified number of students, including football players, have been suspended from Seattle's Chief Stealth International High School in connection with threatening text messages sent talking about violating female students. What is wrong with people? Look, let me just tell you, if I had gotten up to any of these shenanigans, I would still be grounded. I would still be on restriction for the rest of my life, according to reports. Oh, would you like me to if you want me to if you want me to throw it, you have to let go of it, you ding dong. Stop. Screenshots of the text messages sent in group chat consisting primarily of sophomore boys on the school's football team were posted on Instagram, and that's how parents and other students found out and alerted the administration. Let's see. I saw a screenshot and it was basically like, we want to, okay. Obviously, they were gross text messages. Last Friday, more than 100 students walked out of school to protest what they felt was an inadequate punishment by the school and not enough being done to prioritize the safety of the students. Let's see. What was the punishment? Okay, students who participated gathered on the football field for more than 2 hours demanding action. Again, what was the punishment? For the love of all that is Cheetos. You have the entire okay, editors and chiefs of people writing these articles. Maybe you could possibly put oh, for okay. So, as far as I can see it doesn't have what the punishment was. The only thing that has happened to this point has been a slap on the wrist. But again, the slap on the wrist compared to whom? And I say this as, yes, if my daughter was targeted in one of these text messages, I would be furious. But a slap on the wrist as to whom? What do these people want? Do they want these kids to be charged with a crime? Do they want the Yes, I'm nearly done. I know you've been so good. We're almost done. Do they want them to have a permanent mark? Do they want them to be put on the registry? I mean, what would make these people excited? Do we want this to be a teachable moment, or do we want to throw these children away for the rest of their lives? I mean, these are the things that need to be figured out. I understand the girls' side of this, I really do, and I understand the other part is, do we make this a teachable moment, or do we throw these kids away? Do we throw these boys away, or do we have, some real men, some real dads, some real men show them that this is ridiculous, that this is not the way we behave, explain what's wrong about it, and really talk some sense into these boys and give them something constructive to do. Make them go volunteer at a shelter, make them go, do something corrective that, make them go do something for younger kids that is productive, make them start, a mentoring thing. Give them something productive to do that is positive. Or do we punish the hell out of them and throw them away? I mean, I understand both sides, but again, what do we want to do with these children? I I need to understand because right now it seems like we want to punish these kids right now. And I get it, believe me. I see both sides. Boot camp, I am actually a firm believer. Yeah, believe me. I'm a firm believer that every 18-year-old should have to okay, so hear me out, everyone. And I am not the leader of anything, but if I were going to be in charge of the country, and I think Tim Pool has talked about this, but once everyone reaches 18, they would have to do 6 weeks of a kind of boot camp, and you don't have to go into the military, but you'd have to do a year of service to your country, whether that includes, you know, working with daycare or learning how to be a student teacher, or learning how to cut down trees and clear forests, or learning how to do, carpentry, learning how to do electrician, learning how to do other things. We have too many kids that are rudderless, that don't see any future, that don't see any path forward, that feel nihilistic. Give people a chance to serve others, give people a chance to be productive, and 93% of people, if you give them a chance to do something productive, to see the fruit of their labor, to make small improvements, to see how far they can come if they put effort in, it's amazing what, kind of changes that can bring about. I think so. Yes, that's my slogan, "Mo for president." I think, Bobby, I understand your point, but I think that would just breed resentment. I think if you give someone purpose, you know, if you if you give someone a purpose, if you give a lot of these young kids young people purpose, I think they wouldn't be so nihilistic, they wouldn't be so lost, we wouldn't be such a lost country. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a redhead on the internet, I'm mouthy, I don't have all the answers, that's why I'm not a politician. I encourage the most we can do as a people is just clean up our own little corner. I'm trying to do my best to raise, little tiny humans that, you know, do their best and work hard. That's the best I can do, and I try not to be a total jerk face every time I go outside. Yes, I did throw no, Fryberto, Frybert, Fry. Where's your toy? Where'd you put it? Go get it. Go get it. We've lost it. Oh, well, see, Bobby has all the answers. Bobby for president then. Well, those are the stories tonight. Apparently, we don't get a super volcano. So, Grand Theft Auto guy has been rearrested. We might know where Jimmy Hoffa is. It is okay. We always enjoy a rewatch crew, so that is totally all right. Uh, we probably won't get any super volcanoes, but at least Italy is taking precautions just in case. Peruvian officers work even on Halloween and apparently arrested people as Cougar, Jason Voorhees, and Tiffany the Bride of Chucky, because they did. Mouth hugs are just as dangerous as smoking, so beware. Not safe for work conversation, but talk to your local doctor. Do not listen to me. I am a mouthy redhead on the internet. Talk to your doctor. Alaska man might have made threats to somewhat Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill, a US senator or Ed Gein, whoever you choose to identify with. Uh, Several men indicted on Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plots were moved to federal prisons all around the country. And a judge would like to know why, because they are up for appeal and their appellate attorneys just cannot get a hold of them. And in an oddly confusing story that, answers no questions, uh, teenage boys behaving badly after phones are invented, and, well, what are you gonna do? Bobby Baloney is the king of the hill. He is the Rhett Foreman. He's like, "You know what? You are welcome, Digger 420. You know what? I needed to say it. There is nothing less productive than, fighting with people on the internets and on the Twitters, if you will. I've never done it before, but I definitely uh, decided that was a hill I was willing to at least make a rant about. Roberto, it is not the time to get the zoomies. It is cold. For the love of all that is holy. So that is the nightly Newsy News tonight. I hope you had a wonderful day and have a wonderful night for the rest of the night. And sadly, I will let you know that it just popped up that Coach Bobby Knight, if you look, I'm not a big sports ball person, but I am from Indiana, has passed away. So that'll probably be on tomorrow's news, but he has passed away, unfortunately. But so that is fairly sad. No more chair throwing. I'll throw a chair tomorrow just, in honor. Well, it's about an hour. Oh, yes, we are. Yes, Newsy News is about an hour. Friberto, did you just scare the heck out of yourself? You're such a weirdo. Think I got the weird dog. Yes, Newsy News lasts about an hour. Fry, stop biting me, would you? Because Fry can only take about an hour before he is ready to have his last out of the night, and then he's like, "Mom, pay attention." Well, he was gonna be Lur if he was more brave. Yes, I did name him Fry. So, have a good night. Remember, tomorrow is Friday, so I will try to find more fun and lighthearted Friday news in the morning, and then it is the Charlie Adelson case, and Charlie will be on. I know. Yes, I was going to do Lure of Omicron Persei 8. I can jump over to your channel if you'd like to do Newsy News over there. I just need to take Fry out for a minute because he has to go out and get some zoomies on. He has to get some zoomies out. Oh, I will live in infamy for that, you know. Yes, I will. Oh, okay, story time. We'll go a little longer. Uh, Pretzels. Yes, for I don't know how we got on this. My celebration stream, I that day I had my celebration stream, for some reason I stopped at I think Aunt M's pretzels, and I told them specifically, do not salt them. I don't like salt on my pretzels. I don't them. That's Mr. Mo. You're not let me real quick. So, no. So, I don't like to lick it off, I flick it off. So, if I asked them specifically not to put salt on the pretzel, and what did she hand me but, like, a super salted pretzels, and I was just like, "Oh, for the love of all that is holy." But I am not the type of person that says anything because I can simply scrape all the salt off the pretzel. It's not that big a deal. And it looks like they were backed up and pretty busy and short staffed. And, we've all been there, done that. When you work retail or fast food, you've had those busy days. And gosh, I didn't want to flick it. Yeah, I don't like salt. I don't like salt food. So I flick it off and, you know, because it's gross. Well, like you scrape it off into the container, so then you end up with a container full of salt, as one does. Oh, well, what you heard in chat was lick, but I said flick. Oh, well, that could explain why everyone thought it was much more funny. I was saying flick, though. That explains why it was much more funny. But no, I scrape it off. To which Mr. Mo then has the eye rolliest of eye roll moments because he loves salt. And yeah, he's like, "Why are you doing I don't like salt." So now hot sauce, you can so then I was I didn't realize you all had been hearing lick when I was saying flick. So then I was joking about instead of pour some sugar on me, we just do pour some salt on me. And It went all the wrong way, but, even it's Oh, would that we had the time, but we have a feral young child who I think is chemically drawn to any time that either myself or Mr. Mo wants to get any married time in. So there's nothing more um CBing than, a small little person, "Mommy, daddy, mommy, are you almost done there? What are you guys doing? Wait, can I talk to you? I saw this thing about Area 51. Do you wanna see this TikTok about Jesus?" No, there's nothing about your youngest, most feral, you know, trying to knock on the door as anything is trying to be happening, and then your cat being judgmental and looking at you semi-disgusted. So, I mean, my goal in life is to really just horrify my cats. One day, I will horrify my cat. I swear. "Alright, Fry, we're done. We're done." No, I call my youngest my youngest is my youngest, most feral. Oh, yeah, my youngest does not want a baby. Yes, I know. You are Yes. You're special. Everyone loves you. I love you too. Yes, 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 yes. Oh. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, all right. So, yes, Fry has said we are done. We are all done. We are done, done. I will see you all. Yes, Fry is also feral. It is what it is. I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember, we have the Charlie Adelson case. Sir, you are not supposed to be biting. You know that. Definitely, we're going to put you in puppy training after I get my spinal stuff going. I will see you all later. Have a wonderful evening, and we will Okay. Have a good night, guys.